down. That's that loving sound. By the way, so my internet has been having lots of problems lately. I'm hoping we don't have any problems now because I had the tech guy just come out and he made a change. I don't know if it made a difference, but we'll see. It seems pretty good so far.
Yeah.
You're just like, okay.
I haven't noticed anything yet.
Good. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, the flagship and premier podcast of LRMonline.com and Genreverse, however that figures into this whole thing. I am one of your hosts, Joseph Jammer Medina, joined today by the one and only Nick Dahl.
Hello.
Hey, Nick.
How are you doing?
How are you? I'm
Good.
freaking awesome. It's Friday, and I'm stoked. I'm ready to finally see Shang-Chi. Which I haven't yet. This is the longest it's taken me to see a Marvel movie ever.
Ever?
Ever. Like even pre-MCU ever.
Yeah.
I
was surprised
for
you hadn't
those who
seen
don't,
it, but then of course you didn't see it for last week. So
right.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, I talked about it last week. When we were talking last week, I was not feeling great, taking, frequent shit breaks behind the camera, so to speak. I took like 3 during the podcast that you didn't hear. And I didn't feel well until Monday morning. And so and then work happened. So I haven't really been able to go see Shang-Chi. And it's the longest I've taken to see a Marvel movie. No, I think maybe I saw Thor later. Yeah. It's just one of those things. Close to the longest. But yeah, it's been at least a decade or so since then. So that's pretty big news. That's big news to me.
That's the big news.
That's the big news. That's the big thing. Yeah. It's not really news, but yeah, it's
news.
It's newsworthy. It's definitely should be on. My mind went to people.com. I don't know why People magazine is what came to mind when I thought of news.
If you were famous, that would be on People. Joseph thinks he might have COVID, but just has flu. That's what it sounds like you had.
Yeah. I think I just got the flu. It wasn't COVID. I got tested 3 times, negative all the times. So I'm good. No problems here. And yeah, I was just checking. I was like, is People still around? It is still around.
Of course it is.
So there you go. That means nothing. That means nothing. We've seen Titans fall before. So
not People.
Anyways, let's go ahead and let's get enough of this banter out of the way. We got some news to talk about. And then we have a new Hulu original series that has just started releasing that we're going to be discussing, and it's the new movie called Only Murders in the Building, starring Steve Martin Short, and Selena Gomez.
That's right.
And it's unexpected little surprise. I know I saw the trailer for it and I thought it was a movie. I was excited because I thought it was a movie, but it's not a movie. It's a series, and we have a few episodes to talk about. So stick around for that. Definitely worth your time, I would say. Just in case you're wondering, I think it's worth checking out. But we'll dig deeper into that. But let's talk about our first news story. Nick, what can you tell us? What has it been hitting us? What's been pelting us from all sides in the world of news here?
I'll tell you one thing.
In the world of film and geekdom.
Which kind of pill would you like to take? Red or the blue?
Oh,
that's been pelting us.
Obviously. I'd like to think I would take the red pill, but let's fucking say I take the blue pill.
Blue pill's the safe pill, right? You gotta stay inside and eat sloppy steaks.
Yeah, exactly. Ignorance is bliss. That's the heart. That's the scene with Cypher. For those of you who don't know, I remember the biggest plot hole for me was how did Cypher get into the Matrix without someone actually plugging him into the Matrix and looking over him?
They were all taking naps. He plugged himself in like one of these other movies where you can just jack yourself. I don't know.
Yeah, it bothered me, and I don't think it was ever answered.
Maybe
here's what really happened. It turns out Tank was behind it the whole time. He didn't get caught that movie, but he got caught in between movies, which is why he was replaced for movies 2 and 3. Yeah. That's my headcanon.
Yeah, there you go. I never even thought of that thing. But we have a whole new movie full of plot holes, potentially. We don't know. Matrix always seems to have some sprinkled throughout. Most movies do. But we got the trailer for Matrix Resurrection. I was going to call it Revolutions. I want to call it Revolutions for some reason. Or, as some were referring to it before the trailer came out, Matrix Retread. Was that your joke, I think?
No, I actually didn't make that. I didn't call it. Oh, I did say that.
Yeah, when we were discussing it before there actually was a trailer, we just heard like what the shots were going to be.
Yeah, I called it the Matrix Retreaded.
Retreaded.
Which I stand by, but that doesn't make it a bad trailer, nor does it make it a guarantee that it's a bad movie, because people, I'm sorry, yeah, I like new things, I want new original ideas. No, you don't. You're fucking lying. You're full of shit. You like sequels, you like retreading the same ground, you like things that are the same but different, and that's okay. It's why many of us love Star Wars The Force Awakens. It's why many of us like remakes, even when we say we don't like remakes, because we like that familiarity. And The Matrix, I think, falls comfortably within that. It feels like a remake almost. Like, not really a remake, but I guess in the same sense that Star Wars The Force Awakens is. It's like kind of a retreading of the same ground while still expanding off into new territory. And that's my general impression of this film trailer, based on the trailer. And I think I still really like the trailer. I thought it was good, but I'm biased because, generally speaking, if you're going to have the song White Rabbit playing, I'm going to like the trailer. That's just a fact. Like, I liked the freaking Alice Beyond the Looking Glass trailer because it used White Rabbit. And if you have me watch freaking the trailer for Venom and it had White Rabbit playing, I would probably like that trailer as well. So take what I say with a grain of salt. That being said, I thought it was a fun trailer. I really liked seeing Keanu Reeves returning. I like seeing the changes within the Matrix itself. A lot less leather. People still are wearing leather, but it's not like full clad leather anymore like it was. It's more normal. It's more functional. As we saw, what's her name? Jessica Henwick's character running around with really sort of, I think she had like a leather jacket, but then she had pants that you could actually move around in, which is very important. Yeah, I just thought it was great. I have no complaints about it. I'm really excited. Kirsten, here's the thing. I think this trailer is actually good. Like, imagine there was nothing called The Matrix. Imagine we weren't living in a world where that movie existed. And if we saw this trailer here, no, I still think it would be great.
No, like, I don't know if it'd be an even better trailer. Yeah, if you had never seen this shit before and you're like, what?
If it didn't exist. But I showed it to Kirsten and she was like, I didn't watch the second two movies, so this means nothing to me. I'm like, no, it holds up well by itself. At least that's what I was trying to tell her. Whether or not it actually does, I guess, is more up to her than it is to me. But I thought it was a trailer that held up well without any actual context outside of the trailer. Like, if you had no idea what The Matrix was and saw this, I think it would work. But man, what do you think? What were your overall thoughts of the trailer? And how do you feel about it existing in this world that we currently live in, where the Matrix permeates society, but it's been about 20 years since any movie has come out?
So even though I do love the first one, I've always considered this franchise like Avatar, where I'm sure when the Avatar trailer comes out, people will freak out. But right now, Avatar just feels dead. And leading up for all this, like, knowing a Matrix movie has been coming out this entire year, like we've known it since early in the year, it's just never been like, oh yay, more Matrix. It's like, well, I'll watch the trailer. And the teaser trailer didn't do anything for me earlier in the week, but I like this trailer. It's more colorful than other Matrix. I think they've made a stylistic change. The action looks cool. I love that I would have actually been really disappointed if he did cut off the John Wick. But it's just that Keanu Reeves right now is the beard, and I like the idea of Neo with the beard.
He can't shave.
The hair.
He can't shave. Yeah. Like, he has to have that beard now as a part of him.
Yeah, it would be weird with him shaved.
I thought he would be shaved, to be honest. I'm surprised he wasn't.
He looks a lot older when he's shaved. I probably like. Do you have a beard for Bill and Ted? Because they both looked really old.
Oh, he did shave it. He did shave it.
The beard hides the age, or if anything, makes you look better when you're older, I would say.
Bill and Ted.
But then again, I mean, they all look older, but Trinity isn't looking bad as far as like age. Obviously, they have a new Morpheus, which we'll find out. Yeah,
which is
there's a lot of interesting mysteries in it.
Because essentially, what's his name again? I have to look it up. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. He was Black Manta,
Dr. Manhattan,
and Dr. Manhattan in Watchmen. No, in Aquaman, he was Black Manta.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he very much looks the part of a Morpheus, and he revealed via Instagram that Morpheus, it was like in all caps, I think is what the tweet or the message itself was. So it's like, oh, that is Morpheus. It looked like him. It seemed like him, but it wasn't Lawrence Fishburne. So like, what's happening here? Is it someone else who's like Morpheus, or is it not? So my question to you is
Ooh.
Why do we have a young Morpheus? Is it going to be addressed, or what are you thinking?
Maybe he's part of the machine this time.
So he's like an agent, essentially?
Yeah, it's just a program. It's like, remember how the architect talked about, God, see, we're getting into the other movies that has to either answer questions about or just throw out. Where he's like, oh, we rerun the simulation over and over and over again. So maybe
I'm wondering if this is like an earlier or later run of the simulation.
Interesting. It could be before the other stuff.
Could be. Though I don't know why Keanu Reeves would be younger or older.
That's true. If everyone would be I don't know. There's just a bunch of questions to answer. Like, he died at the end of the last one. And then the Matrix was I don't know. I thought there was some kind of like peace between machines and people. I thought at the end, but Neo died like Jesus.
The architect and the lady, what's her name again? The Oracle. They basically had like a whole dialogue at the very end. He's like, there will be peace. And whatever that means.
Yeah. So
whatever that means.
It'll be interesting to see how all this comes together. Because it's also like, it looks cool, but they seem to have a lot of similar locations. Like even the rooftop they're in with the helicopter looks just like the same rooftop from the first bullet time. So hopefully it's new enough. I know you kind of compared it, or at least Jonesy did, to The Force Awakens, and you're like, it doesn't bother you because...
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
Because
I compared it to that.
And I didn't
as long as it's done well and it's done differently enough to where it's like not the same movie, but it like executes sort of on the same beats and it manages to bring something new to the equation. I mean, I'll be happy with it.
Yeah, and that way I'll be happy to watch it for free at home. But I didn't get the Star Wars feels just because, that's like, how often do we see like new, like, it showed classic stormtroopers, lightsabers and stuff. And it's where it's like, I don't know. I don't feel that hunger for like, I feel nostalgic to see the Matrix code or whatever.
Did you like the Matrix as much as you like Star Wars? I'm comparing
Matrix
it more.
I like better than like all but 3 Star Wars.
I'm comparing it more in the sense that the story itself is essentially the same as the first one, which that's basically the comparison I'm making.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. So we'll see.
So are you interested?
Yeah.
Would you see it in theaters?
No.
If it wasn't for the podcast, would you see it in theaters?
No, I'm not going to see it in theaters now. I'm going to watch it on HBO Max.
But I'm saying if it was, I'm just saying if basically there was an option only in theater, if there wasn't COVID
and there wasn't a podcast,
if there was no pandemic, if there was no podcast, and you saw this trailer and it was only coming in theaters, would you see it in theaters?
I guess probably. Yeah, I probably would. It's hard to say. Okay.
I'm excited to see Lana Wachowski direct by herself and see what that's like. Regardless, I haven't seen everything they've done, but everything they've done, whether or not it's been good or bad, is like interesting. So I'm hoping that at the very least this is interesting. But here's a random quiz for you. What is the third movie called of the Matrix trilogy?
Revolutions.
Okay, I was curious.
Second one's
because I always wonder if people are going to say Revelations or Revolutions.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. I don't remember which one. I guess I just got lucky.
No, you got it. Yeah, Revolutions is correct. I actually Googled it because I was curious if I would get it right or wrong. All right. Any last thoughts about The Matrix?
I really like the scene or the idea that they all take blue pills already. Like, rather than getting a choice, there's that one scene where he like intentionally spills all his blue pills out and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I dig it. You dig it. Cool.
Let's dig it.
Next, PlayStation 5, a system I'll probably never be able to afford to own, announced 4 grade A AAA titles yesterday. We got God of War, which I don't really care about. God of War Ragnarok, which also has a fat Thor in it. I'm saving the Spider-Mans and the Marvel. What was the other big? Remake of Knights of the Old Republic, of course.
Mm-hmm. I think that was like the big one.
I don't know. People really love Insomniac games, and they were really excited not just for a Spider-Man 2 trailer with Venom, but also a Wolverine trailer. It's another game I'm sure I'm going to be envious of.
I mean,
that's a Republic I'm kind of envious of, but like I never beat I wanted a remake, but it's the only games I've ever actually wanted a Sony play system for are the Spider-Man games. Mm-hmm. Or Marvel Universe, I guess now.
I think I'm trying to think here. What was the one we're talking? Oh yeah, Knights of the Old Republic. The good thing is that that's going to be like another 4 years before it comes out, I'm sure.
Maybe
we probably are like
a PlayStation.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, is that maybe we'll be able to afford it by then because we'll be deep into the cycle, the console cycle. Because that trailer was just bare minimum. It was just a cinematic. Yeah, I would be surprised if the game hits before 2024.
You think? Yeah. What do you think about? I guess since they already have an engine for it, and even though it's just as expensive and stuff to make it, the Spider-Man games will be out quicker.
I think so.
And then I don't know what they're building on their engine to make Wolverine.
Yeah, Wolverine. What did you think of Wolverine? Is this what you want out of your Marvel content? Does this just make you want PS5 more?
Yeah, it does. Now I'm envious of Wolverine, even though we still have to wait to see if it's any good, and Spider-Man. So
I mean, I'm sure it is. Well, I don't know why I'm not sure. There's nothing.
I think it would be a different enough game engine because your fighting style is going to be completely different in addition to not.
But I mean, if they're working off the Unreal Engine, it's just like that's the base. But I mean, people like Wolverine. I'm not sure I'll play it. I still haven't played Spider-Man. I should play Spider-Man at some point, but I haven't yet because I'm playing Final Fantasy 14. I dove into Final Fantasy 14 this past week. This is my first legit MMO that I've ever played. I've never wanted to.
MMO.
An MMO?
I think Enema.
I didn't want to play MMO for the longest time because they would take over my life, without a doubt. And the good thing about this, the reason I decided to actually do it, even though I didn't want to, is because it's actually designed in a way that allows you to play at your own pace. You don't have to like play every single day for hours in order to keep up with it. It's kind of designed differently. And so yeah, it's pretty good so far. Like I'm really enjoying it. It feels like a single player game, except it's MMO. I haven't gotten to the point where I require, any sort of raids or anything. So I'm waiting for that, but I've only put a little bit, probably like a handful of hours into it, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. But I was really drawn in by the history of the game. If you don't know, Final Fantasy 14 launched and it was awful. It was really bad. It was a laughing stock essentially. And what they decided to do is essentially patch it along the way and then remake it underneath. And then a couple of years or so into its life cycle, they had a giant like freaking moon type thing crash into that world, essentially decimate it, and then kind of start over.
Dang.
With a Realm Reborn. And that was a couple of years into it. And now everyone loves it. And they've had a couple
because I remember it not being liked. So it's good.
Yeah. So they knew it sucked and then they fixed it. And so I was like, all right. And it's been 6 years since then. And so they're deep into it. But with the advent, that's not the right word, with the controversy surrounding Blizzard, people have been leaving it in droves, leaving their MMO, World of Warcraft in droves for Final Fantasy 14. So I guess I'm just another statistic at this point. But I remember I watched a documentary recently about that whole thing. And that's the reason why I decided to jump on the bandwagon. So it's fun.
What about these 4 games? We think you'll be playing all of them, some of them, not into God of War, into God of War?
I'm not into God of War, and I don't have a PS5.
Oh.
But if I were to get a PS5, it would probably be for Knights of the Old Republic remake.
Because you said you'll play it or something. We were having and I'm like, I didn't know Jammer had a PS5 yet. In our Slack
I don't.
Group. Yeah,
I don't. It's the
one I would pick if I had enough money.
When I get a new system, it will be a PS5. So, But all of these, I would probably play Knights of the Old Republic first, Spider-Man 2 second, and then the other ones, sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. Knights of the Old Republic even stole the spotlight from the original Candyman, even voicing Venom, which is pretty cool. But hopefully, that's a cinematic trailer, and I do hope the suit just doesn't show up Sony style. I hope they have to work it on to Peter Parker or Miles first. But yeah, that's my only fear. Because of course they use the model because it looks good, but the face looks the same as the Venom movies.
Venom, cotton eye Venom.
I could have used that as a segue, Venom. But instead we're going to talk about Christopher Nolan.
Oh, what? Okay.
I want to save all the release dates talk for the end.
Got it.
Christopher Nolan bombshell, says Deadline. Director talking to multiple studios on film he'll direct about J. Robert Oppenheimer and development of the A-bomb in World War II. Extra. So obviously, he likes World War II stuff because he did Dunkirk. Now he's doing Oppenheimer. I'm sure he'll find a way to make it twisty as far as time and stuff, because otherwise, what's kind of the point?
Yeah, I remember watching Dunkirk because going into Dunkirk for the review screenings at the time, there was no information about, not that I read at least, about the time narrative of it. And then I watched it. I was like, what? What's happening? One day, what? 1 hour? I'm so confused. And then by the end, I was like, oh, okay, I get
Someone
it now.
spoiled that for me before I went in. So I was like, okay, I already know this is going to be Nolan-y.
It was learning as we go. And it's like, it was cool because like, it's like you learning a language as you're going. It was like, just adjusting as you go as to how you're taking in the story. It was just not something you experience very often anymore because we tend to understand a lot of different types of narratives. And the one where you have different ones that expand over different lengths of time is like very unique. So I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
But anyways, Oppenheimer.
Anyway, the first part is that Killian Murphy might be the lead, which will excite my best friend Andrew. They went through his entire catalog. They do that with a lot of actors, but he's great. I love him. He's been in some good Nolan movies, including Dunkirk. But of course, the big part of the story here is that Nolan is talking to multiple studios because he's been a Warner Brothers boy, but he wasn't happy with the Tenet release.
Yeah,
even though he got a theatrical release, like he actually got a full
about it.
Yeah,
his comment was like, you think you're working for like a great thing and then you wake up and you realize you're working for the devil or something along those lines.
Yeah, back when that old comment.
Yeah. And
his movie didn't he get what he wanted with his movie? He
got
a theatrical release and it was early like he wanted. Like too early.
It's not about, but the thing is, it's not just about him. It's about the medium of film. He wants somebody there who wants someone to support him, who is supportive of the status quo of the film industry that emphasizes theatrical releases over streaming, and that's honestly nobody right now. So I don't know who he's going to go to for this. I mean, I can't think of a single studio.
Paramount,
who would
Sony.
Paramount has Paramount Plus. They do streaming video. They're doing movies on streaming.
Well,
so it's like
Sony, I guess. Well, I think it's more they feels like his former directors. All the studios have their little plus thing, you know.
I think you're right, though. I think Sony is the natural one because they don't have a streaming service outside of Crackle, and they don't utilize Crackle the way the other streaming services do.
Yeah.
I mean,
make
it's not
streaming
dead,
shows for other networks, but I don't know if they've made a movie for a streaming network yet.
Right. So yeah, Sony. I mean, Nolan, don't bother trying to peddle your wares. Just go ahead and go straight to Sony. That's the only one that's going to fit the requirements that you want. And Sony, if I recall, they haven't released a film in streaming.
They keep pushing back everything.
They basically been saying, they said at the beginning of the pandemic, we're not going to release a movie until the pandemic's done. So
like they released some
Nolan
small ones in there, but they've been saving the big ones. Yeah,
they've been saving their big ones, and I think Nolan can get behind that. This is better than all the other studios. He definitely wouldn't go to Disney. He definitely wouldn't go, obviously, Warner Brothers. Paramount has been releasing a lot. But anyways, interesting story. I like the idea of following the Oppenheimer creation of the atom bomb. I'm sure there's a great story in there somewhere that you could actually dive into and make very intriguing. Like that's like a ticking clock scenario, right? Them trying to developing that technology in the midst of, you know, the greatest war ever, and lots of room for embellishment from Nolan, and lots of opportunity, as you said, to play with time.
And then in case this podcast is not sounding great, it's because Jammer keeps cutting out, so I'm gonna try to edit it so it sounds nice, but we'll see what.
Sorry about that. My internet has been awful,
so we'll see what kind of show I can edit after all this. So now we can move into Venom.
Okay, so let's talk Venom. Word has it that this movie is short.
Oh, that's
very short.
Took from it.
I mean, there are other things I was going to add to it. We'll get to it in a second.
Yeah, I saw that.
90 minutes long. How do you feel about that? Just straight up, 90-minute long movie.
Please.
Okay.
I don't need how bad the last Venom is. I don't need more than 90 minutes. It's definitely going to short shift the story, but I already thought they were going to screw up the Maximum Carnage story. So
okay. Well, apart from that, I agree. I think if it only needs to be 90 minutes long, make it 90 minutes. I can appreciate a movie having brevity to it, but they've moved it again. Except they've moved it forward. Woo. It is now going to be releasing October 1st.
The 15th was before that, I believe.
Yeah, it was the 15th was before, and now it's the 1st. So I don't know where they're getting this confidence from, but EW said that the change comes on the heels of strong showing at theaters for fellow Marvel superhero film Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings, which smashed Labor Day box office records by making $90 million over the 3-day weekend. It was also the second biggest domestic opening of the year behind July's Black Widow. So here's my question to you. Does this show a confidence in Venom or a lack of confidence in Venom?
What do you mean? What they think of the movie or what they think they can make?
Both.
I think, here's been my theory on it since it happened. I think they're moving it earlier because things are getting worse. So rather than push it back till after things get better, they're like, okay, the box office is hot right now. We're trending upwards in COVID, so it'll get worse. So let's release our movie before. Like, let's release it closer to Shang-Chi so that we can ride that bump before
that makes sense.
The worst point. That's my theory, is bringing it closer to Shang-Chi is like, hey, we'll finally release it. We can do it when people are seeing movies. And COVID's not, it's getting worse. It's about as bad as last year, if not worse in some states. But we can just get it out there and finally move on to the rest of our Sony slate, Marvel Sony slate.
And hope that it doesn't get worse, or bank on it getting worse.
Exactly. That's what I said.
My internet.
We're both frozen.
Gosh, darn it.
Okay, more Marvel release date news. Marvel has decided, Disney has decided that Shang-Chi, which was said to be a test, was big enough that as of now, the Eternals is just Eternals. Keep calling it the Eternals. Just Eternals is staying on its release date, and it's staying theatrical only.
Cool.
After Disney CEO Bob Chapek basically dared Shang-Chi to perform in theaters over Labor Day weekend, it did 94 domestically. You couldn't possibly put Eternals on Disney Plus day and date, right? Question mark. I told Chapek distribution chief Kareem Daniels has already made the decision on the November movie slate and will indeed receive an exclusive theatrical run.
That's awesome. I think that's good news.
That's from THR. And the other part is Marvel's Kevin Feige and Angelina Jolie's agents can exhale now, because they wouldn't have to come into a big battle like Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, that's no fun for anybody, that whole situation.
So
I still can't believe that happened.
Yeah. So there's a Sony either moving it earlier or believing in Venom. And then here is the biggest studio in the world being like, okay, we think things will still be good in November. So, okay. So yeah, there's being them confident with the Eternals. So last story, it's going to be a shorter podcast because we're going to try to cover only murders in the building, and then I'll deal with all these technical difficulties in post. But we have another movie news that doesn't show confidence from a different studio in their product, or in COVID rather. I don't think it's anyone looking at their product and being like, this would never perform. This is people looking at the current state of things, because this is actually a sequel to a rather big movie. The last Halloween reboot, which was actually a sequel, but it was just called Halloween, did very well in theaters. Actually, it opened Labor Day weekend too, also like Shang-Chi, but didn't do nearly as well because Shang-Chi broke its record actually. So it was shown at one of the film festivals. I don't know, and it's keeping its release date, which was October 15th. So maybe that's another reason why Venom moved. But the movie is also going to Peacock Premium subscribers at no extra fee. So that's if you're paying for the ad support. Let's see. So it looks like it'll be available in Peacock Premium at no extra fee. This is $5 a month for non-ad supported, $9 for without advertisements. But I guess the way the article reads, it reads like it's coming to both, not just the higher tier. So yeah. Closer to HBO Max, if you have Paramount Plus, you can watch the same movie same day at home.
But let's be real, who has Paramount Plus? I guess you do.
I do.
You like
I love
Star Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek and a bunch of good other series.
It's no Apple TV Plus though, right?
It's better.
Right? No, it's better.
I don't even have Apple TV Plus.
Better.
Star Trek's my joint now.
Ugh. So it kind of makes sense, but it also kind of doesn't, because 15 million or so, or $20 million. So maybe it's weird that they're releasing it that way when they could probably make much more money in theaters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, the studios are definitely getting spooked about audiences, obviously, still.
Yeah.
With
no one knows what's going on.
Everything back till next year.
Yeah, no one knows anything. No one knows anything, and I guess this is the best they can do. And they're all figuring it out. So I can't fault them for trying.
Yeah. So that's all the news you could use this week.
All right. So let's hop into the show that we are reviewing for the week. Only Murders in the Building on Hulu, which is funny actually, because like I said at the beginning of the show, Kirsten and we saw the trailer for it and I thought it was a movie. But for some reason, first of all, I thought it was a movie, whatever. And I thought the title was interesting. But it wasn't until yesterday that I actually got the title right. I keep
screwing it up too.
The title, once again, Only Murders in the Building. Up until yesterday, I was calling it Bodies. That was like an inversion of like the book title from John Green, Turtles All the Way Down, which is a title that always bothered me because I don't understand that turn of phrase. And it just annoyed me. But yeah, Bodies All the Way Up is what I kept calling it. So first of all, what do you think of the title of Only Murders in the Building?
I kept screwing it up. I was calling it Only Murderers in the Building. And then when I was even texting you what we should watch, I was calling it Only Murder in the Building.
Oh, that makes sense.
So I screwed up a lot.
This doesn't make sense. Where do we start?
At the very beginning. I got in the elevator with these two weirdos. Then Tim got in the elevator.
Approximately 12 minutes from now, I will be murdered.
Tim Kono's death has been ruled a homicide, and apparently one of you jerk-offs did it.
I can't stop thinking about this.
Neither can I.
We should do our own true crime podcast.
We're gonna go down there and look around for clues. You wanna come?
Do I want to break into a dead guy's apartment and go through all his shit? Sounds like an afternoon.
Yeah, Only Murders in the Building. It's a funny title, and it's actually revealed, I think, in episode 2 why it's called that. I don't think it's a spoiler to say it. Essentially, the premise follows Steve Martin and Martin Short and Selena Gomez. They're all true crime podcast fans.
Of a Tina Fey. Well, played by Tina Fey is the podcast.
Played by Tina Fey.
It has lots of great guest spots like that.
And there's a murder in their building, and they decide to cover it. And one of the guys who wants it, he's like, hey, maybe there's another murder we can cover. And he's like, no, Only Murders in the Building is what we cover. So that's where the title comes from. But it's really interesting. So you have these different types of characters. You have a down on his luck actor. You have a down on his luck theater producer. And you have a mysterious girl who lives on the floor or in a room by herself and who is renovating it. You don't really know much about her. And they all seem to have their own like motivations for wanting to do the project. And why they're pursuing the truth for this particular one,
mostly
in interesting ways.
Just kind of making fun of people who like overlist like cereal and stuff, and that these guys are like, we could be involved from the beginning. Like, so I just looked it up. It's 8.5 on IMDb and 100% on Rotten Tomatoes critic score.
Interesting. So, what are your Twitter thoughts? What's your Twitter review for Only Murders in the Building?
You never get to see Steve Martin and Martin Short, obviously, as much as you did pairing up in the 80s and even 90s. So it's a delight to see them. Selena Gomez works too. So I don't know, 100% behind this series is where I'm at so far. Because we both watched 3 episodes, was the first drop. And it appears they dropped 3 more. And maybe even 3 more today. I think it might be a Friday drop. But yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, for me, I would say a fun murder mystery with a little bit extra layers beneath it. Though I do have concerns that those extra layers will ultimately undermine the mystery itself. So I'm cautiously optimistic about where it can go. I think it's fun, but I do feel like there are some plot/character issues that I hope don't weigh down the actual story.
Like who? I guess we'll go into spoilers now.
Yeah, like I don't want to spoil anything. So on the whole, I would say I recommend it if you're interested. If you like murder mysteries, go for it. If you like good old school, emphasis on old comedy with Steve Martin and Martin Short, if you like their
definitely
style
playing the
comedy,
types too.
If you like to see
like
these,
you said, one's a bad
old dog
actor, one's a retired producer.
Together. So I'm actually glad that we got this from Martin Short, because the last role I saw him in was in Morning Show. And he played a terrifying guy. Like, he was a sexual predator. And it was like, I was like, oh no, like Martin Short, you're being all serious and stuff. Like, I wanted, where's my happy Martin Short? The Martin Short that I know and love. Where's the Martin Short from the 90s miniseries Merlin, starring that one guy, starring Alan Grant? Where's
Sam Neill? I didn't know.
Neill.
I know there's multiple Merlin series, and I had no idea Martin Short was in it, but I knew exactly what you were talking about.
Like, where's that one? And I want to revisit that at some point. And where's the Martin Short I fell in love with? So I'm happy we got this, and that he got to play a fun character who, it's funny, he's a character that reminded me of Pepper Saltzman from Modern Family, who's played by Nathan Lane. And in this, you get to see him with Nathan Lane. And
there's another like part of their class, you know, especially with his involvement in the theater world. He's part of like, I don't know, not their class, maybe a little bit younger. No, he's probably almost their age. It's someone Tina Fey and him were not shocking.
Talking about Second City?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. But I didn't even know you see them in movies together all the time and actual Broadway and stuff. So just like
which is actually funny because it makes sense why. I won't say who it is, but there's somebody who's being brought in as a suspect who makes sense in terms of what you're talking about because of that creative's involvement in Broadway. Yeah, do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's great. So going into spoilers, the thing that concerned me is Selena Gomez's involvement. I was worried because it seemed disingenuous initially that she would be involved with this person, and yet there was no indication at the beginning that they knew each other. And they're like, pretend you don't know me. And I'm like, that's a little weird. It's a little shaky. It's like one of those things where like Now You See Me, where you kind of look back at the first episode, the first part, and you're like, that doesn't add up. That doesn't work. And while I'm still not sure if it will ultimately work, I do like how her motivation is now that she wants to solve this because she's worried that she's going to be next. I thought that was cool.
Because of past events that
we
get into. But so, again, she's like, I like that they don't trust her. Like and that she's the one who can't be trusted. There's one line where he's like, I don't trust her.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's lots of, I like how there's reasons not to trust each of these characters. Like you hear say that speech that he replicated on TV. And it's just like, ooh, that's interesting.
And when she's like, is that something from your TV show too? Like for the next few things, because he always says that too. He's like, that's what I said on TV. It's like our list of suspects just got a little bit longer. I said that on the show.
I feel so bad because Martin Short keeps on like saying he's really bad at acting. I'm like, he's fine. His delivery is fine. He's fine. I wonder if it's on podcast apps. If we could actually listen to the podcast week by week, that would be cool. I doubt it, but it just reminds me of the Tears of the Anarin, which they released in audiobook form from Mythic Quest, like the actual
nice
fake book from the guy. They released it, so it's pretty dope.
Yeah, I guess since we're having so many issues and stuff, we probably talked about it enough, and we'll see if I can I can cut together an episode or not.
Yeah, I'm sorry about this, guys. This episode is it would be much longer, but we can't talk for more than 30 seconds without it cutting out, so it's not really working.
Well, I'll try to fix it in post. So with further ado, thank you for listening to Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast. You can check out all sorts of podcasts on lrmonline.com or wherever you stream podcasts. Jammer, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Jam the Writer and all of my books under the name AJ Cerna on Amazon and Audible.
And I'm at Geeky Nick Doll. I also do Marvel Multiverse Mayhem. And please pray for me that I can get this to something that people can actually listen to. It isn't just we recorded. I spent an hour on it. Yeah, then we did it.
If you're listening to this, we did it. If not, then we did. He didn't.
Nick figured it out. If you got, otherwise there'll be a tweet that you won't even hear me talking about now. That'll be like technical difficulties. But yeah, I guess with that, you already went. You went AJ Cerna. So I guess with that. Hasta lasagna.
What? Oh yeah, AJ Cerna, I'm good. Accomplished, or is it? We don't know.
Don't get the onion. We'll see. I got a bad feeling about this.